All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the Failing Psalms podcast. We got a pretty cool guest today. It's Adam with Drengr Precision, and we've been chatting a little bit already, but I think this is going to be a good one. But I wanted to, so the show has really started gaining some popularity, and we've gained a lot of new listeners, and especially international listeners. So I wanted to say thank you very, very much for all of you guys that have been listening and messaging me and texting me. Um, it's been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it. And so I want to kind of do a couple things for the people that are joining. So if you have questions, I've had people texting me or messaging me. If you have questions or things that you want to talk about on the show, or if you have someone that would be interesting to have on the show, please shoot me an email. It's Mike at phalanx-arms. It's phalanx-arms.com. And you can send in your questions that way, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. And then also, so this is something that I really love doing. I love getting to help people and get to talk about this stuff and bring on people that are also bringing beneficial information out. So if you like the show, you find some value in it, like send it to someone. It's I really want this to grow and help people. So if you get a chance, take a second, send it to someone. Uh, but with that being said, we've got Adam. Adam, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
And so BJ nominated you.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
kind of give us a why why did BJ nominate you? What's going on? Kind of give us a little bit of story of who you are.
Um, do you want me to start with myself or with BJ?
Whatever. I'm good with both.
Okay, I'll start with myself then. Yeah, Adam, I'm from Sweden. I'm 28. I after high school, I went straight into the military. Did my basic as reconnaissance, and then I switched a unit, still reconnaissance, where I got to learn how to shoot long range, basically, and progressed pretty quickly. Uh, really fell in love with the whole long range kind of deal, and really dug deep and tried to improve on my own time to get better at my job. But when uh, the things in this unit with the leadership and stuff didn't really work out. So I wanted to move away from that unit, which also meant I had to give up on the sharpshooting thing. And that's when I found civilian shooting, sport shooting.
Okay.
I found the PRS. Actually found Marcus Olsen's YouTube channel and was like, "Hey, we got this thing in Sweden." So I bought my own rifle and started shooting basically.
Hell yeah.
And the bags that I make came from because we weren't allowed to buy our own bags. So I made my own from just a sock filled with the BB pellets,
Yeah.
super basic stuff, you know. But I still had a lot of desires from this bag. It didn't really do what I wanted. So I looked up if you could buy bags instead, but they were super expensive. So I decided to make my own basically, and that's where this whole thing started. And then when I
Um,
started shooting PRS, that's when I went more to the civilian side of shooting more than the tactical. Even though I
okay.
still focus on the tactical side of shooting mostly.
Okay. That's awesome. Um, and so how long have you been shooting uh on the civilian side for competitions?
2 years, I think. Yeah, 2 years.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. So you are more. uh, newer into the civilian side for sure, and
Yeah, pretty much.
already having quite a bit of success. And so for those that don't know, he qualified for the Swedish. Are you in the open division?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he'll be shooting on the Swedish Open team for the World Championship coming up in September. Um, so dude, that's a hell of a accomplishment to go from new to representing your country for the World
Yeah, it was
Championship.
quite fun. I was just sad I started too late to qualify for 2022 when
Mm.
that match actually uh, was a thing. I had already qualified for this year's World Championship because the trajectory was just straight up, you know.
That's awesome. Okay, and so you had mentioned a little bit that your first match didn't go great.
Oh no, I got skull dragged totally. You know,
What happened?
uh, it was a small club match. First time I met Marcus and we Flip and all of those other top dudes. Um, I thought I was gonna win the match when I showed up. I had a Hawa 1500 and 6.5 Creedmoor. It was dialed in and everything, and I had just designed this bag, uh, thinking, yeah, I'm gonna win. It's gonna go good, and I think I placed like 12th or 14th out of like 20 people.
Yep.
So just got completely humbled by the whole structure of the civilian side of shooting.
Yeah, and so okay, so that was so one thing you said that I think is kind of interesting. Like a lot of people when they start getting into this side of things, they'll I'm a decent shot, but like especially with your background, like you obviously know your rifle system very well and your data and all of that. So what was the difficult side of things for like or that you had to learn for these type of matches?
So military shooting is most of the time you practice prone.
Hmm.
So that part I had down and it was no problem. But usually you you don't really practice positional shooting. I mean, later this is like it's a few years ago I shot precision in the military, but um, nowadays to practice more positional, which is really good. But often you have quite a bit of time. It's not really time under pressure,
Hmm.
and uh, just building positions from barricades.
Okay.
Everything in military is basically just prone, tripod, or using a ledge of some sort.
Okay. So positional and having a time constraint.
I think the time constraint was the big thing.
Okay. And so then you went from that to winning your first national match.
Not
What
not my first, but my second.
okay, okay. And so what I guess what changed? Like what was your focus or is so you sent me some notes. I kind of want to dive into this a little bit because I think it's really interesting. Like so what was your approach to teaching yourself and like what did you focus on and kind of walk me through that.
Well, for one, um, I did make some developments with the bag. I think that was a big part of actually improving to have a bag that's specific for sport shooting.
Okay.
Because tactically, you don't really want 9, 10 pounds of sandbag with you in your backpack when you're shooting. So I started out with light fill, and then so I moved on, experimented with different types of fill, came up with something really, really nice. And then also just being exposed to other top shooters and seeing what they are doing um, on the clock. So
Okay.
I think my first club match was in November, and then in, I want to say May, I went to. Have you heard about Viking Trail?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that was my first real match, and that was
Oh,
an experience. I didn't get quite skull dragged at that match. I think I placed like 33rd out of about 100 people.
okay.
But I learned a ton. Just
Yeah,
just uh, some from watching other people shoot, but mostly just reps on the stage.
yeah.
And that gave me the confidence, like, okay, because it was progressive better each
Mhm.
day. And when I, like, a month later showed up to the Swedish championship, I mean, this sport is still small enough that everybody can apply for a Swedish championship match. Um, but yeah, I just had a bunch of confidence. I had learned stuff, and I mean, it went pretty good. So I placed eighth uh, in that match,
Okay.
and we only had two, maybe three national level matches that year because of the
Okay.
World Championships. And so the third one, my third like big match, that's when I actually won, um, which was just crazy.
That's badass.
The funny thing is that match I did not have like the confidence to win because uh, I had problems with my ammo and I wasn't sure about the zero or the speed. Um, but yeah, it just flow state throughout the day. Um, it was a good match, and it was stacked as well. So
That's awesome.
for sure,
Okay.
one of the best days.
So one of the notes you sent me is slow is fast and fast is fast.
Yeah, slow is slow and fast is fast.
Slow is slow.
Um,
Okay, I misread it. So what does that mean?
that's basically that's something I took from carbine shooting, um, like this one,
Hmm.
um, because when you're shooting a stage, I think most people are either in the slow category, thinking slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and that is true to an extent. But if you're always slow, you're always gonna run out of time and be stressed and do bad presses. Uh, or people are fast, but they rush everything and they make mistakes because of that. Uh, what I really figured out quite early is that you have to be dynamic. So when you're behind the scope, and I mean, this is probably super basic, really, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it really.
Hmm.
But behind the glass, that's when you're slow. When you're off the glass, that's when you're fast. So you need to gas and brake all the time.
Yeah.
Focus on the correct things. I think Francis Cologne is really good uh, at this kind of thing, and I actually think they talked a little bit about it on their podcast.
Yeah, I have heard him mention that before. Yeah, and if you watch Francis shoot, that is
Yeah,
exactly um how he's uh explosive when he moves
yeah,
and very dynamic. And then
moves with intent.
yes, and then as soon as he's behind the glass, everything is very meticulous. Yeah, it's that's honestly something I struggle with a little bit.
Okay,
It depending on how I'm feeling or what the stage is or whatever, but uh flipping that switch back and forth over and over and over is difficult.
yeah,
But um okay, so I like that you wrote this down because I think this is going to open up a little bit of a good discussion. But you said it's a thinking man's sport.
yeah.
I 100% agree with you. But what do you mean by that?
So I also sent you in the notes like gear versus skill.
Hmm.
But if I mean the whole debate between 6 millimeter and 6.5 has been quite a thing lately, and
Hmm.
I hate the debate because I don't think it matters at all. Like people make it a bigger thing than it should be honest. What I mean by that is that um, as long as you have a gun that is consistent and shoots good enough, uh, and you have the gear necessary, basic gear like a good bag and good glass, you're set. It's the difference between winning and losing then is the person who has the best mental capacity, in my opinion, because shooting is easy. Like basically, have you read the Carlos Hathcock's book,
Mm-mm.
Marine Sniper, I think it's called?
Okay,
You
I haven't. I'll check it out.
you know who he is?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, he said sniping is easy. All you have to have is swag and dope. You know what dope stands for, right?
Yeah.
But I really like the swag part because swag stands for scientific wild ass guessing. So if you can analyze your environment good enough to where you can actually make the impact, and you have the a good dope, and
Hmm.
you have the mental capacity to focus and do the right things and don't be lazy, you're gonna perform. And if you got those three down, you're not gonna be limited if you're shooting a 6 millimeter or a 6.5 millimeter, or if you have a zero compromise scope, or if you have a Schmidt and Bender. It doesn't matter if you have a Fenrir Drengr precision bag or if you are using a Weebad. Like those things don't really matter because what sets apart is the mental game, really, in my
I
opinion, of course.
I I I agree. I think there's comfortability within your gear, and there's certain things
For
that
sure.
that we are gonna like more than others. Uh, but I very much agree. I think it's no one wants to hear that because it's a lot more fun to go buy a new chassis,
For sure.
you know. But the the work and what's between the ears is what's going to get the job done.
Yeah.
I mean, well, and I mean, especially over here, there's been a lot of movement on cartridges, a, a whole slew of 25s, different 6.5s. I'm doing a new one. But you look at someone like Bushman's won countless matches with a dasher,
Yeah.
and there's been a lot of guys shooting ballistically superior cartridges
Yeah. I mean,
compared to
there's
each other.
always going to be advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
My philosophy on gear basically is like good gear will not help you. It will not make you better, but bad gear will limit you.
Oh, that's a really yes. I like that.
Yeah. So like I believe we're gonna get into it later, but let's say like comparing a Weebad to a Drengr bag, like
Uh-huh.
they're two completely different bags with their own strengths and weaknesses, and
Right.
you have to choose what is gonna suit you as a person.
Yes. Uh, okay, so while we're talking about it, so you own Drengr Precision,
Yeah.
and tell me about the bag. I mean, what is it that because I think I looked at them. It's a unique design, and I'm what's the fill that's in it as well.
So basically, when I did my huge test with different types of fill. I tried different types of glass media. I tried sand. I tried light fill and all of that kind of stuff. I even tried putting anal lube in sand to make it hydrophobic. And I mean, I tried a lot of things.
Okay.
Um, by the way, anal lube in sand don't work.
Okay.
Just so you know. But
Pro tip.
yeah, I think I'm not sure what Weebad has a new fill that's supposed to be really good. I haven't tried it, but I do trust them that it's really good.
The edge fill.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
Yeah, I've
I
got some here.
it's good.
Yeah, it's very different.
Is
So
it
it's more
jagged or is it like rolling?
it rolling more. So it's have you seen oh my gosh, what do they call it? Like dynamic sand, like it kind of
Yeah, yeah.
that's more what it's like.
Oh, nice.
Um it it's good. I still prefer the heavy fill over
Okay.
that. Um but I've got a few of the edge fill ones here, mainly for if I'm gonna go to a match that I know is gonna be really wet because it doesn't get
Yeah,
like a brick. But um, it's different. But if you're used to a specific fill, it's a little different. But it is. So what I noticed, so like on a just a heavy fill sandbag, like if you plop your rifle down, it's going to sit there.
yeah.
It moves everything and it's there. This one, it
Sinks in.
yeah, it hits and
Yeah.
kind of melts it, and then
Ah, okay.
yeah. So but it's solid when you
Yeah.
have a good position with it, but it's just a little different.
So it's the same thing there. Like with when I say jagged, because I think Armageddon gear and MDT's new bag, it's a glass crush. So it's the fill is
Right.
jagged, which makes it dead as soon as
Yeah.
you put it down, just like sand, pretty much. And that fill is really good for bags like the peanut or the Weebad when it's a large volume, where you just want to put it down and just um, have it dead.
Hmm.
Um, with a more concave design on the bag, because the Weebad is convex.
Hmm.
No, it's rounded, like down, sloping down. Uh, my bag is very concave.
Mm.
You want this the effect you described where it sinks in, because it loads up the bag. So you're compressing the bag against both the barricade but also the rifle. So it becomes
Mm.
super stable. That it has its advantages and disadvantages, of course. But this will crush anything on a square range, just like Marcus said, pretty much. Um, if you're gonna be panning with your rifle a lot, you will have to push the bag and push up the fill before you settle it down again. But
Mm. Okay.
but you will have superior stability, and you will also have superior recoil control. So you're using a TMB, right?
Yeah.
That combined with this, unbeatable.
Yeah. You're shipping internationally now, right?
No, I'm not. I'm
No?
right now I'm only selling through my website in Europe,
Oh, okay. So
and
you're distributing across Europe, just not outside of Europe.
BJ wants some bags. Uh, I don't know if you've seen him on Instagram, but he loves it. And I mean,
Oh
everyone
yeah, I saw
who's
him.
tried it freaking loves it.
Yeah,
Uh,
he had him on his story today.
yeah, uh, they're uh, they're changing the game, pun intended. It's not a
That's all.
game
I mean,
changer, but it's
I'd
changing the
love to
game.
I'd love to try one out.
I'll get you one for sure.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Let me know how I can get one. and I want one of those. So we tell the people listening about the shirt that I was looking at.
Sure. Yeah, so basically it's unicorn. I painted in paint for like 15 minutes. It's a unicorn with a bloody horn and a sniper rifle with the text "fucking lethal."
And it's like a pastel pink. Uh, yeah, I want one of those, and I want one of your bags.
I'll get you
So
both.
just let me know how I'll get you I'll get you some money. And but yeah, that shirt was just that's my sense of humor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They did exist as patches, but they sold out quite
Okay.
fast.
Okay. And so for the guys that are in Europe listening to this, how can they find you? How can they order a bag?
So I do want to use more retailers. So G Ports in Denmark, Korak Store in Sweden. There's a guy in Norway, Andreas, that sells them on the side.
Okay.
Uh, but basically, I'm looking for retailers because I do not want to sell them through my own website because it takes up too much time. As I mentioned to you before, I'm still active duty military full time.
Yeah.
So I want to offload my workload a bit,
Okay.
and
Awesome.
hopefully BJ can start selling them in the US.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, hell yeah. So if you got a shop in Europe, hit up Adam. So
Yeah, because this bag is completely new. The bag I started out making, it's one of the classical W designs. I mean, visually it's very close to the Armageddon gear, but there's some significant geometrical differences. I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I calculated the optimal angles and everything for a W bag, but I think the W bag has, even though it's a very stable and good design, it has a significant flaw in that since the angles in the well are so tight, it puts a lot of stress in that area, making that's why they split so fast. Um,
okay.
so like these bags, the Mjolnir that I call them, I mean this one has held up pretty good because I've glued the seams and stuff. Uh, but they usually last about a year with heavy use. But
Right.
and that's also why I decided to have a guarantee on the product, you know. So if it would split sooner than expected, I would always just send them a new one because I don't have a marketing budget, so I'd rather have satisfied customers instead.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it for sure. If you a good product and standing behind it will, I mean, it's the
Yeah,
best, just about the best thing you can do.
and I mean like the Weeb, I don't know if you can tell, but I love Weebad.
I
I
do
think
too.
they're a great company, and Robert is a great guy. They're
Uh,
just a fantastic company. But this huge radius, like how many Weebads have you seen split?
uh, a few.
A few. I've never seen one split, but I mean no bag is invincible unless you make it out of
Oh, well, yeah,
Aurora.
and that's the deal is the ones that I've seen break are they've had the piss used out.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's the advantage of that design. Um, that's mainly the thing I wanted to fix with the new bag. So since it's hourglass shaped instead of W, I could have the angles in the wells.
Okay.
So the seams are under way less stress. So now
I gotcha.
this bag is only a year old, the one I've tried and prototyped and tested, but it's like brand new still.
Mm.
And I hope it's gonna last as well as a Weebad will. I'm pretty sure it will, but I mean it's only a year old, but
Yeah,
it's
no,
still
that's
holding up
awesome.
really, really good.
Yeah, well, and so I use WeBad.
Yep.
Uh, uh, yeah, everything. Uh, the the shitty part is and now that I think about I think I misunderstood what you're saying. I don't know if I've ever seen a bag just split. It's
Mm.
always been it's caught on a nail or
Yeah.
something
Inevitable.
dumb. Yeah. Um, but yeah, they can last a hot minute if you do it right.
Yeah, it's good materials and all of that.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay, um so I want to kind of dive into a little bit like so I like what you talked about with like the gear but like it being you well okay, walk me through your rifle real fast. What's your rifle setup look like?
Okay, let me pull it out. So, um, it's Impact Precision 737. We have one of the best gunsmiths in the world here in Sweden, Fabian Wallin. And so it's a Impact Precision with a Bartlein barrel in 6-dasher.
Okay.
Shooting, I haven't really decided on the bullet I'm gonna shoot this year. I have hybrids and I have A-tips and I have LDMs. Uh, I'll have to see what the barrel really likes or settles on. But shooting the zero compromise 5 to 27, and obviously have BJ's TMB on it. You can't beat it.
Yep.
And then the Spur 6 chassis.
Okay.
This is, I think, revolutionary, and I'm kind of sad it hasn't taken on in the US
What,
the
the
way
chassis?
the way I expected it. Um, because it's just so good. Also one of those like optimizing um, kind of deals where good gear will take you to your potential, but bad gear will limit you. I think
Hmm.
most chassis will kind of limit you when it comes to your trigger press. Uh,
Why do you say that?
because if you pretend you're holding a rifle and shooting it, and then you just relax your hand, your thumb will fall to the left. It will pretty much stay in the center line of where the bore is going. Most chassis forces your thumb to the right, so you have an unnatural finger position. And I mean, it can work for sure. There's a lot of individual play that makes a difference,
Hmm.
but the grip area of this chassis is just something else because in the folder, it's cut out, so I can get my thumb straight behind the action,
Okay.
really unloading a lot of unnecessary muscle tension. So I haven't blamed a bad trigger press since I got this chassis.
Really?
And then I've modified it a little bit, so I put some clay glue, Surgu, on the grip itself in order to form it to my hand.
Okay.
Uh, what else? I mean, just the stock area is just perfect because right now I have it set to a tiny length of pull.
Hmm.
But when you're prone or when you're standing up, I don't know if you noticed, but your length of pull should change to get the
Right.
perfect eye relief. So with just the press of a button, you can push it out and you can put spacers in it and then just push it in. Same thing with the bag rider. It's just a button
Mm.
And
Yeah, that's
on
pretty
the
slick.
bottom, I have a little sock. It's a upcoming product for the 6 chassis, which takes tripod use to the next level.
Mm.
It's like a bag, rear bag when using a tripod.
That's interesting.
So also you don't need to put a ton of weights on the chassis to balance it out, which I love because I think people have too heavy rifles mostly because
What
they
is your rifle weigh?
ooh, I don't really know in pounds. I think it's like 22 maybe. So
Okay.
it's still
It
heavy,
was
but
about
it's
10
on
kilos.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it's still heavy, but it's on the lighter side of heavy.
Right.
I
Yeah,
I
no,
want the
I think that's a really, really good weight for what we do.
yeah, and that comes around to the slow is slow, fast is fast. I
Mhm.
when I'm shooting, I don't really care about the weight of the rifle, but when I'm moving, I definitely
Right.
am.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I've shot this chassis with 6.5 Creedmoor, and I mean, it's heavy enough. It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, no, so I've messed with those spur chassis a little bit. I haven't shot with one yet. I think they're pretty neat. I am a little surprised that I don't see more of them. Um,
And I mean,
but
the thing is, people are patriots, right? So you Americans are gonna gravitate towards US made, probably. Same
yeah,
way here in Sweden, we're gravitating towards Swedish made.
right.
If you just go over to Norway, it's just a few hours away, but no one is shooting Spur because they
Really.
have a different company called Vision, and they also make good chassis for sure. But since they're Norwegian, like everybody's shooting Vision.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, and hell, now you can damn near get a whole rifle made in Oklahoma. So there's a
Yeah,
uh I get it. And I think and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think the our our sport and our industry has gotten to where there are so many good options
oh yeah, for sure.
uh that you can support whoever you want and still end up with a quality product. So
Yeah,
like I shoot at Impact and Foundation. I shoot at an Oki Special rifle essentially. Um, except I don't have a tangent on it. I run a Zico.
good man, good man.
Oh yeah,
No,
I have a new 8 to 40 coming for it, and I'm stoked.
yeah, Marcus told me that that scope is supposed to be the best, like the most durable scope like in the world, and just superior quality. And I'm just sad I can't afford it.
Yeah, they're expensive, but man, it's and also I guess for the people listening, Phalanx Farms is now a zero compromise dealer. So
Ah,
uh,
congratulations.
thank you very much. I'm very, very excited about it. I've been using their stuff for the last 2 years, and uh, I'm a fan. Is an understatement, but yeah, I've been running the 5 to 27. Uh, what reticle do you have?
The 3X.
Okay, I have the same.
Yeah,
So I have the 5 to 27. Yeah, I think it's going to be probably uh like 30 to 40 days before the new scope gets here, but then I'm gonna take the 5 to 27 off. I have an AI. I'm gonna put it on, and I have a couple matches I'm shooting this year with that. And then I have the 4 to 20 that I'm putting on my NRL hunter gun.
yeah.
And if you ever get a chance to mess with the 4 to 20, that is I think that is one of the best scopes that's ever been made.
Yeah, that's what I want to put on like a hunting rifle.
Yeah.
Like I have a 6.5 Creedmoor, not right here, but and right now I have the Leopold on it, the
Hmm.
5 to 25, and great scope for sure. Um, but it's not a zero.
Right. Yeah. Well, excuse me. The loopholes. I mean, they're phenomenal scopes. I mean, they're. I mean, I think there's a reason they're the most popular scope in PRS and the NRL.
Yeah, the PR2 reticle. I mean, oh my God.
It's good. It's good. And then now they have the PR3 if you don't like the Christmas tree, which I do. So, but
Same.
but but you're also talking and I don't know what the exchange rate is from here to there, but it's that the loophole is a $2,200 scope, whereas the
Yeah,
Zika is a $4,000 scope. So,
I got mine for free. I'm not sponsored, but I picked it up from a price table.
oh,
I've been extremely lucky in those lotteries.
that's a hell of a price table grab for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Super happy about it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm pumped. I'm getting the 8 to 40 with the new 10 mil non-locking turret and the 3X. It's I can't wait.
I understand. Yep.
So,
Oh, I need to sell more bags.
yeah, yeah, just start selling them. But yeah, no, it's a pretty remarkable because my only thing, so I had been considering one for quite a while. Um and I finally got to mess with it, and I liked that the field of view is bigger.
Yeah,
Um at the at the same magnification range. And I was like, and finally I was like, I gotta pull the trigger on it. But um okay, and then so what bipod are you running? Is it the Skypod?
yeah, it's standard Skypod.
Okay.
I thought about getting a double pull, but I read the for the World Championships that you don't need a double pull, so thought I would save myself some cash and invest somewhere else.
Yeah, that's valid. Well, I have a triple pull ordered
Mm.
uh for NRL Hunter, but so with the World Championship match, I don't like from my understanding, I don't think it's going to be like they're trying to set it up where it's just a fair match. You're not
Yeah,
going to
I
need
think
a
it's gonna
very
be
specific.
quite basic. It's you're probably gonna be able to one bag everything.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, I think that's good, but I also hope in the future when the rest of the world catches up, I hope it can become a little bit more advanced. Um, I don't think it should be like if you look at pistol shooting, for example, like those open guns. I mean, incredibly gamey for sure. I think the basics in the precision rifle shooting should still have some practical use, if you know what I mean.
correct.
Um, so I think they will do a really good job. I'm really excited to go
Yeah,
to the
I think it
US.
will be. So Beamer, Mike Beamer, that's the match director. He his matches that he puts on here every year are always some of my favorites. Uh, I've shot field matches and positional matches that he's involved in, and they're amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, Box Can Box Canyon is one of my favorite matches, and it's a really really good field match. And then he helps with the King of Cold Canyon in New Mexico as well. And
I've heard about that match. There's a running joke here in Sweden about Marcus when he went to New Mexico.
oh yeah,
Yeah, because he couldn't shut up about it.
What what's the can you say the joke?
No, it's basically every time he mentions New Mexico, it was, oh, really? Have you been to New Mexico?
Oh,
He
oh,
he got
and
kind of
I
tired
did
of it.
I did forget. I was supposed to, the joke that I was supposed to ask you if your mom gave you permission to do this podcast.
Yeah. Also standard. Yeah, I'm known as Sweden's best junior shooter, even though I'm 28. Just because well, now I'm working on a beard, but
There you
yeah. So it might change, probably won't, but
go.
it was a lot of fun. Um, when because we do have one girl that's a junior shooter. She just turned 18, I think, and
Okay.
when I won my first match, she came up to me and was like, "How old are you?" And it was like, "Take a guess." Like, and she was like, "Are you like 19?" Like, no, I'm 10 years older than you.
It's all right. You'll appreciate the crap out of it in 20 years. It'll be good.
Yeah.
So okay, so I know you're coming over for the World Championship match. Are you, well, I mean, I'm assuming with your job, are you coming over here anymore, or is it just for the match?
I would if I could. Um, I the US has a special place in my heart since I spent a year in Alabama as an exchange student
Oh,
uh,
that's cool.
10 years ago. Uh, so it's always fun coming back and just being in my second home, if you would call it
Yeah,
that. But with school, it's a challenge to get time off at all,
yeah,
and also the economics of it because now I don't really make money the same way I did when I was working.
yeah,
Um, it's difficult.
yeah. No,
I'm just happy I have the business that can
right.
support me when shooting, but it's still I'm a tiny business, you know.
I I feel you, dude. I understand. Okay, so what's what are your goals for the World Championship match?
I'm gonna sound like a dick, but I want to win.
No, dude, I would be disappointed in you if you didn't say that.
Yeah, I'm so tired of everyone else being like, "Oh yeah, we're still behind the US. Like we cannot win." Like, sure, that's probably true, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try, you know?
Oh, hell yeah. I like so talked with when we did the podcast with Greg. It- the US team this year,
Stacked.
oh my God. It's unbelievable how
Yeah.
good every class is. But uh the gap, so like the last internet or the last world championship match, I think everyone kind of expected the US to come in and win fairly handily, and
Yeah.
and they did. I think the gap has closed dramatically between uh the US and other countries that have some like people like you and Marcus and Seppo and all these other guys that are just tremendous shooters. And I'm kind of waiting. I mean, obviously, I want everyone that comes to do incredibly well and to shoot their best.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want the US to win because they're my guys.
I
Um,
don't blame you.
but I'm waiting for the day for one of you guys to win, and I think I think it will light a fire
I mean, it
under.
it it, it already did, because I don't think you guys didn't have representation in the military law enforcement category in 22, right?
We did not.
Yeah, and I mean, we did take home that world title, and
Right.
it was well deserved. Louis
Right.
Philippe, we we've been talking about it quite a bit with the when deciding what category we were gonna shoot, because even though we're small, we can't really stack every category like you can in the US, because you have 50 to 100 top shooters.
Right. Yeah.
In Sweden, it's like, if since both me and Louis Philippe could decide if we wanted to shoot the open team or the military law enforcement team, um, we would severely decrease the odds of the other team by going either way. So it was like, are we going open or are we going military law enforcement for the
Excuse me.
team medal? You know,
Yeah.
um, and it came down to open, because you want to compete against the best,
Right.
basically. And also, um, I think the people that got slots in the military law enforcement category, like two of them at least, they're quite new to PRS, but they're really good dudes. Like they're gonna progress to a top level within the time frame until the world championship. I think they're gonna have a
Oh yeah.
similar trajectory to the one I had, because they're impressive people.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Do y'all does Sweden did y'all fill all of the categories for all of the teams?
no, let's see. We filled open. We filled military law enforcement. Ladies is where I think we're lacking. Um, Junior shooters as well. I think there's only two that I'm aware of that's going.
Okay.
Actually, the 18-year-old girl I was talking about, I don't
Hmm.
know if she's shooting in the junior category or ladies. I think she's shooting ladies.
Okay.
But she's badass. You know, she's the only woman in Sweden that has actually won a match that is stacked.
Hell yeah.
So she's gonna be dangerous, like when she progresses through the years, and she
Good.
has a lot of good support from her dad.
That's awesome.
So hoping for the best for her. And then I'm not too sure. I think we filled up limited, and think we filled up factory.
Okay, so I mean y'all damn near have every spot. It's close at least.
Yeah, yeah, it's up there.
Okay. Good. I can't wait for the match. I'm I'm hoping to RO the match and be there.
Oh, sweet.
And I'm hoping maybe set up a booth or something like that. But yeah, I can't wait to meet everyone. And uh Marcus was telling me I really want to meet the guys from Thailand. Like
From
I never from Thailand.
Oh yeah, I
I
don't know much about them at all.
I don't either. But I never would have guessed that so he told me about this Facebook page that they post on, and dude, it's unbelievable. I mean, it looks like US matches. I mean, it like the gear and the props I was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool. So I'm excited to meet people from, you know, all over the world. It's just fun.
I think that's where the gap you were talking about is closing in. Like that, the quality of the matches has improved a lot. Because even though I've only been shooting for a little bit over 2 years, like the first match that I got completely skull dragged on, it was a lot of unstable props.
Yeah,
That is gone now, pretty much. Now it's focusing on stability in the props, because as soon as you have instability in your props, you're introducing luck into the
yeah,
competition.
I
So
agree.
if you have stable props, and that's also why I love field type matches, because it's pretty much always just stable props.
Right.
Um, that's when you actually test shooter's ability or the shooter's mind, in my opinion, as we
Yeah,
talked about.
no, I completely agree. Okay, so let me ask you this. So what you I mean you have a very strong shooting background, but you came up very quickly. What does your practice look like? Or do you have specific drills that you do or uh certain things that you focus on?
Basically, I do most of my shooting at 100 meters.
Just
Actually,
doing dots?
not even dots, just working on with the rifle, making sure the precision is there. Uh, if I'm doing drills, it's usually rifle craft, working on the four
Mm,
basic positions. So you have standing, you have high kneeling, low kneeling, and prone. And
okay.
then if you want to scale that, you just add time to the aspect to the entire thing. But I'm
Okay.
severely limited by my range. Like I can go up to 300 meters,
Hmm.
but it's not better practice than 100 meters. It's just um, takes a longer time to check how I hit on the targets.
Yeah,
Also, I prefer to shoot paper over steel because it tells you more about how you actually did.
I
Steel
like that.
usually lies. Um, so when I practice, I prefer shooting paper.
That's really interesting. So I agree. I think my one thing that I do like about shooting steel when I practice is um working on reading where it hits on the plate.
Yeah,
And because I think you're right. I think shooting paper will tell you so much more. But that is the one thing I do really like about shooting steel is because it is I do think it is very difficult to read plates or see where the bullet hits on the plate
yeah.
and uh and it's
And
just
I'm
it
still
just
terrible at that, to be honest. Like I'm terrible at that, but that's also because I cannot really practice it when I'm home. The only
yeah, no, I mean it's
place I
understandable.
can practice it is at a match, because that's where I can actually shoot at distance. That's actually where I can shoot in wind. Where
Right.
I'm shooting now, it's just a little grove, and there's barely any wind. Like if I'm lucky,
Mm,
I have like I want to translate it for the US listeners as well, but like 3 meters per second at most, which is I would say about 6 or 7 miles an hour.
mm,
And that's rare, really rare. Most of the time it's about half a meter a second or like 2 miles an hour.
really.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to that. I live
Yeah, I mean
so I live in the windiest city in the country, and it
armadillo, right?
Amarillo.
Amarillo. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, take that for what it's worth. It's windy everywhere close to me. It's just Amarillo just happens to be what they put at the top of the chart. But it's it's good for like practice. I mean, shooting in
Yeah.
wind and stuff like that. But testing things, it proves to be it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
think
can
you really need to separate out your practice so you practice something specific. So when I'm at 100, I'm practicing fundamentals and the rifle. I'm not practicing wind. I'm not practicing reading the environments. Like you can eliminate a lot of stuff just by changing what you're practicing. I do
yes.
have I do have access to one range. It's about 2 hours away, but that's where I can shoot longer than 300 meters. I can shoot up to 650, which would be about 700 yards or something.
Yeah, a little over, yeah.
And there's wind there, so uh, I can actually practice that aspect. But the place you shoot from is very unstable, so you
Mm.
cannot run like a barricade. Um, you
So let me ask you this. So you talk when you're talking about shooting paper at 100 yards and working on fundamentals. What 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 are the fundamentals of shooting rifle, like shooting precision rifle to you?
I think stability is one of them. I just need to put my computer in a socket. Sorry.
You're good.
Maybe we can edit this out. 1 second. Okay, let me try to multitask. So fundamentals, I would say, is the dope and swag. So you predict where the bolt is gonna land. You have to know that. Also, I think finding stability, um, like in either position, like certain heights will make you unstable, no matter how good you are.
Yeah.
But just finding the best stability that you can, and also having a good squeeze on the trigger.
Okay.
Like trigger technique is one thing. I don't agree with people that say you have to squeeze and be surprised by the trigger, but I do think that you can definitely affect the rifle with the bad press. But that's more.
Yes.
I would still say it's more mental than anything. If you're flinch, for example, that's often when you make a bad press. Let's see here. We'll do this. Here we go.
Okay. So okay, so there is a school of thought that you should be surprised when the trigger goes off. If
Yeah.
if you disagree with that, what is your thoughts on that? Do
I
you think
mean,
you should know exactly when it's going to go off,
oh yeah, for
or
sure. Always.
okay?
Um, you can test it, and it's by dry firing.
So
Um,
do you dry fire?
oh yeah, a ton.
Okay.
That's also a big part, really. You have to know your trigger to to be able to do what I'm suggesting, like knowing when you actually press the trigger.
Yeah. So what trigger are you running?
I run a trigger tech.
Okay. What pull weight is it set at?
I'm not sure. Not too light, not too heavy. But I mean, it really doesn't matter as long as the trigger doesn't have creep. The pull
Yeah.
weight is irrelevant if you ask me. Because
So
I'm used to Accuracy International triggers. They're really heavy. They were like I think 4 or 5 pounds. But I mean that wasn't an issue at all. Um, you just have to know the trigger, in my opinion.
I like that.
So
I agree. So I've drive fired a ton.
yeah,
Uh, and so the only thing I run a very light trigger.
okay.
Um, but what the reason it ended up coming to that is I've found myself whenever I'd build a position and get on target, I would start that squeeze
Yeah.
and I would just sit there forever because it was just such a gradual increase on the weight and I was wasting a lot of time. And so I started kind of tinkering with different pull weights and it just happened to be that for me it ended up being really light to where uh I knew when it was going to go off and it went off when I wanted it to.
I don't have a trigger cam anymore. I borrowed one like a year ago, and one test I did was trying to make a bad press and filming it. So the rifle was unloaded. What I mean, the action wasn't, what do you call it? I had already pressed the trigger, so it was dead basically.
Yeah.
And I tried to slap the trigger. But if you have good ergonomics of the shooting hand, so your press is actually straight back, then you can slap it as much as you want, but you really will not affect the reticle.
Yeah.
And that was quite a big thing for me. Like, if you can have such good ergonomics and good technique, like your how you press the trigger doesn't really matter. And how you set up in the barricade and everything obviously has an effect on this. I sent you a message on Instagram describing the word lagom, which means not too much, not too little, but just right. It's a very Swedish word that doesn't have a direct translation. But I think that word is probably the best word for PRS, really, because it describes every aspect of it so good. Like, this sport is not black and white. It's where you find optimal performance. I think that gap is quite wide, and as long as you operate within those perimeters, you're good to go. Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but
No, well, I think you're right. I mean, so there's a lot. I mean, I think you can kind of break that into like kind of what we were talking about with gear. There's a lot of different things that you can, a lot of different gear you can use, uh, as long as it's a certain quality. And there's a lot. I mean, so and then there's a ton of different ways. So like if you, I don't know if you listen to a lot of the other precision rifle podcasts, like Morgan's and Miles to Matches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everybody does the same thing, but they all do it a little differently.
Yeah.
And so like, and this is, I think it's interesting. So like Austin Orgain, if you watch him shoot, or he's talked about it on some of his podcasts that he's been on, his trigger squeeze is very, very good, but his follow through isn't that great. Okay. He pops off of it real bad. And then, but Clay takes a run and leap at it and slaps the shit out of it, but his follow through is really good.
Yeah.
And those two, I mean, both of those guys are some of the best shooters in the world. And
yeah, there's a Swedish account for IPSC shooting here in Sweden. He made a post today showing what would be correct technique and what would be bad technique when holding a rifle or holding a handgun. And it was a poll of, is this better than this? And it was like, yes, but then he stated, so I've seen elite shooters use both of these techniques. Like, both works, but you have to adjust it to yourself and just learn it. Like, what works for you works for you. Like, not everything is not black and white.
so okay, so I'm gonna try and okay, so how did you go about figuring out what works for you?
I think it's just reps. So if you're starting to run, let's say you want to set a good 10K time, and right now you're just a couch potato, but you're like, okay, now I want to run a 10K in 45 minutes. You're going outside, you're starting to move, and you're starting to run, and you realize, holy shit, I suck at this. But as you progress and just run each day a little bit further and a little bit more, yes, of course, there's going to be the cardiovascular differences, like you're gonna get training. But
Right.
most important, your body is gonna teach yourself what the optimal technique for running is. You're gonna get better. Obviously, you can improve upon that and get better by analysis and stuff like that. But the interesting part is your body is gonna teach itself how to run,
That's
how
really
how
interesting.
you place your feet, how you're moving your arms, your posture when running, and I think it's the exact same when shooting. And you don't even need to go to range and fire around. You can dry fire, like just getting the reps in and learning what's good for you.
I love that.
When you change to your foundation or change scope, you probably noticed the same thing. Like you weren't used to the scope or to the chassis. It was probably a little bit awkward at first using it, right?
Hmm.
But you your subconscious learns and gets used to it. So just getting the reps in is basically what you need.
I love that. So that's actually so I couldn't agree with you more. So whenever so I didn't really have like a strong shooting background when I started doing this. I've taught myself uh pretty much most things, but uh I it, I started out just kind of dicking around. I liked guns, and I started trying to shoot things further, and then kind of it got hooked and started, and eventually got into this. And so I did a somewhat similar thing. My very first match that I shot, uh, I thought I would do uh pretty good. Um, and I went to Clay's match and I got absolutely wrecked. I think I was second to last. Um,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. And so started working on things, and I feel like when things started clicking for me was when I had done enough reps that my mental capacity was freed up to focus on the shot and not
Yeah.
the 18 other things that you're trying to do, you know, building a position, setting your bag, where your feet go, and all this other crap. And so I think I think you hit it right on the head. Um, Now my problem is still keeping my head in the game all the
That's
time.
everyone's problem. I mean, I still struggle with that for sure.
Yeah,
And but to stay on topic, like there are fundamental truths. Like a wider base will make you more stable. Like something you, some things you cannot just ignore and be like, oh, just need reps. Like
mm,
obviously, a new shooter will learn a ton from taking like a class,
right.
but I think most people learn more from shooting a match than going to a class, probably.
I I think yeah. I think if people really wanted to get into this, um, I mean, have an idea, like have like your dope at least somewhat figured out and kind of what you're doing. Then go to a match, get wrecked, and then go to a class because then now you know
Yeah,
what you're looking for.
yeah,
Um, the JTAC guys here, um, I mean their training classes are, I mean
yeah.
they're
I would love to show up to one of their classes just to challenge my point of view and see where where I'm wrong.
right.
Because like when I'm sitting here saying there's everything's so black and white, and I'm more liberal in that way. Like um, obviously I have views that are wrong. Like I'm wrong about stuff. I can get better at stuff.
Right.
But being open-minded about that, that's where you actually find growth.
Yes. Yeah. I know it's and yeah, I agree. And that's one of the so like whenever, especially when I really started trying to take this seriously, I started trying to squad with people that I knew were better than me, uh and I could learn from. And I would try to do that with, yeah, I had 10 people or so that I would try to find and shoot with them, and spending 2 days of you shooting and watching them, it's
You
you
learn a
can find
ton.
a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I love. I'm very good friends with the current Swedish champion, Robert Pervins, and
Okay.
just seeing his, because we're really completely different people, like personality wise, and I mean we shoot almost the same setup, like rifle wise and bag wise and all of that, but we still have different approaches, the way we think about things and the way we do it. So it's really fun shooting with him, and I mean he's the champion, I'm not. So um, it's always fun when you get a new perspective on things.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you should. So I will say, like, I try to listen to a lot of different people, and uh I do think it helps finding someone that thinks similarly to you.
Yeah.
Um, but so like the Miles to Matches podcast with Francis and Chad. Um, so they are unbelievably analytical about
Oh yeah,
everything. Obviously, they do very well. Um, I'm very analytical of a lot of things, but not to that level. But I think it's very interesting hearing a point of view that breaks down every single little nuance that you could possibly think of. But then, like, I shoot with Austin Bushman a lot, and he's the exact opposite. Uh, he'll, so like he'll one my favorite saying of his: "If it hits left, aim more right." And it is, and that's, it's so simple, and and that's, yeah. Anyways, there are a lot of different ways to go about it, but I think you're gonna skin the cat one way or the other.
for sure,
So
100%. I really like that saying.
if it hits left, aim a little bit more right.
Yeah, that I align with that for sure.
Yes. If you ever get a chance to shoot with Bushman, it is he's so
He,
much
he,
fun.
he's going to the championship, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Can't wait to meet all those guys.
yeah. They're good dudes. But yeah, Bushman will be there. Gotta try and defend the title.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm gonna take it from him.
huh?
I'm gonna take it from him.
There you go. Well, you got anything else, man, that do you would like to cover?
Oh, I think we covered a lot, to be honest.
I think so too. I think it was very
Oh,
good. Okay, well, so for those listening, so like I said, if you're in Europe and you wanna help support, reach out, get some bags, or get, if you know some retail shops over there, get everything set up uh with Adam, and uh then otherwise, man, I hope you have a really good year, and I hope I look forward to meeting you at the championship match,
likewise.
and I hope it goes very well for you. So cool, buddy. All right. Well, hey, I greatly appreciate it. And you guys, thanks for listening, and we'll chat soon.
Cheers.